There is no better economic system on the face of the earth than capitalism, but that does not mean that there are not improvements that can be done to ensure that it best embodies our core values, meets our broadest needs, and continues to generate opportunity that elevates people of all backgrounds, especially our citizens. The core of free market capitalism is that it allows people to trade something of value to other people in exchange for money or something they value in an equal amount. The basic supply and demand. There is a demand for something, and on the other side there are people willing to supply to meet that demand at different price points. When supply exceeds demand, then the market price naturally lowers to help match more buyers with suppliers. At lower prices, people or organizations may enter the market as the price for that supply is more attractive. For instance, I recently purchased an air purifier from Walmart. A week before I saw the same exact unit that I bought and put it back on the shelf. At the original price, I just did not see it as a need to buy it now and was more than willing to wait. A week later I was buying some household supplies and walked around to let the checkout lines get shorter only to see a rollback sign for that air purifier. It had come down a bit. Now, when I looked at the new price and cost of a competing model that was not lowered, that was not well liked, I decided to purchase it, even though the price was not a sale price that would go back up a week later. The calculation at the moment was that the benefit now was worth the cost. When prices go down, buyers in that market space will naturally be more open to purchase, as everyone has a different price point they are willing to complete an exchange. One thing I disagree with some economic commentary is that a market only includes people that make transactions. There are market adjacents waiting for prices to fall into their expectation zone before they make a decision. On the supplier side, there are similar considerations, but inverse. Decreasing salaries are not going to attract more candidates to apply for the job, unless those candidates do not have a current job. For many potential job seekers, they are looking for something more advantageous to their current situation. So, a higher paying salary that aligns with their interests will increase the likelihood of them applying and making the switch. Otherwise, they will wait until they find something that is a better fit for their situation. That is natural and something we all do if we are in a position to hold out. Or we may accept a job now and then re-enter the market when we see what we originally sought. Free market economics runs on a balance of buyers finding a price they are willing and able to pay with suppliers willing and able to sell at that same price. Buyers seek affordability while suppliers seek profits and the ability to invest in growth. The reality is that both sides can find what they need if others simply stay out of the formula and out of the way. Suppliers can achieve greater profitability by spreading fixed cost over a greater number of items sold, known as economies of scale, improving how it manages the input costs, and reducing operational waste and risks. Ideally, the suppliers will keep some of those efficiencies to invest in their business and staff and use some to alleviate the cost for consumers, also known as affordability. Any external costs placed to an organization will have an impact on the price consumers pay. Regulatory fees, taxes, and local charges are all pass-through costs the end users may have to bear. Look at your phone bill. There are many taxes and fees that really have no net positives for the end users, but the government wants their cut. The dynamic of free market capitalism is that people are able to get what they want, at the price they can afford, and are able to benefit from customization and innovation if they choose. There is no formal permission structure that perverts the process like in centralized economies. The consumers show producers they want this and willing to pay that, then there will be some entrepreneur that will seek to do just that. The opportunity is that if you are ambitious, innovative, and hard-working, you will jump on that new space to meet that need to elevate your economic situation. And that creates another person the opportunity to find a way to do it more efficiently and price compete, and others to compete on features, perceived quality, and versioning, expanding choice and allowing all to benefit. Notice that there is no government approving it because they need to see how it impacts their interests or agenda. The public gets to communicate directly with producers to get what they need and want. If a company has grown too big that it is no longer as receptive as it needs to be, there will be a competitor to fill that void. What self-regulation is supposed to be. But there are market inefficiencies that are really caused by public policy, some of which were well-intended but never modernized or re-evaluated. So some organizations are more shielded from competition, allowing them to not have to be as responsive. Others simply have benefited that regulators have drained the profitability in the space, creating a monopolitics environment. This is why we have seen many states wise up and deregulated public utilities, as the consolidation of these services harmed consumers. Markets will naturally expand and contract, but that should be the result of market activity, not government preference. Generally, the government does more long-term harm than good in some cases, but some have found useful use of public and private partnerships that allow governments and businesses to address needs identified. Businesses can help provide the solution, and the government can assist with issue identification and addressing barriers that need to be better understood, updated, or removed. We need to embrace free market capitalism and accept the responsibilities of finding our space and competitive advantage. Find avenues for growth and wealth expansion. We all have a social responsibility to contribute to our economy and be a solution, not part of the problem. Nobody owes anything but a fair chance and basic kindness and respect. Everything else should be determined by our hard work.
No other system has elevated people out of poverty like market economics and capitalism. Even communist and socialist societies eventually understood that there was a market for their unskilled labor, resources, and geographic position that could be exchanged for goods, services, or compensation needed. Too many people look at what other people have and dream about what they would do if they enjoyed that wealth. A sad result with a media that glamorizes the perceptions of wealth, status, and class without any consideration of pathways to success, personal journeys, and factors that help people succeed more than fail. Many times the entertainment media does not even realize when they are being fooled by the subject of their content, not actually owning the wealth and excess they are displaying. Renting for the day for the photo shoot. Borrowing jewelry, cars, or other items to increase their brand perception. But it may not be real. How many people report on influencers, but overlook those influencers not actually living the lifestyles that are portrayed? So it creates these irrational sense of insufficiency and social jealousy that these socialists are trying to exploit. What a failed rapper was able to exploit running against an abuser former Democrat governor and a coat rack Republican to win enough votes to become mayor of New York City. How do we change the perception of capitalism, as even some conservative sympathizers may feel a bigger role of centralized government when the people in power align with their political views?
Politics of convenience is illogical in many situations. Economics of convenience is completely idiotic. I truly believe that the vast majority of people do not subscribe to the radical and naive economic views being offered by the communists parading as a democratic socialists. The radicals are exploiting populism to try to gain power. First, the political aspect no one is really talking about is that in many of these primary victories, the communists are underperforming the polls. It was obvious in Wisconsin, but even in Michigan, the polls show broader support than what actually shows up when the votes are tallied. Either the establishment Dems are doing better at turnout, or the polling is too inclusive of people who may be sympathetic to their messaging. Polling is always somewhat liberal biased, but they may be more reflective of urban voters than voters that are actually working and hold a broader view and experience of the world. College students are easier to poll because they are willing to talk and have nothing else to really do. But I think Republicans and Democrats who work for a living, save for retirement, college tuition, and other economic events, may not formally agree on every aspect of economic principles, but they do not want to nationalize what they work so hard for. Even those who want social programs expanded to cover the destitute do not want to be on these same programs. Anyone who works for a living wants to have agency over their lives. The people that are sympathetic to the idiocracy these individuals are preaching are people who lack life experience or are not achieving what they desire to. They have borrowed a great deal of money to enjoy a collegiate lifestyle of their choosing and are staring at the consequences of their choices. The realization that entry-level jobs are nowhere near 7 figures and may not be 6 figures. So they want other people to cover their life expenses, rather than actually find gainful employment, supplemental employment if needed, and budget and save. The last two are foreign concepts to them. While there are many people who fall into this grouping, there are other college students who are reducing their bills, majoring in fields that give them the best chance in life, and budgeting and career planning. Perspective can be lost when the fringe is the convenient focus of the media. But I do think that we need to do a better job of helping young people understand markets regardless of their fields, because everything is a market. They need to learn how to professionally negotiate, career plan, and navigate organizations, and to identify opportunities and capitalize on them. Sometimes you have to start working for a corporation to build a base level of knowledge and grow from there. Then branch off when that path has run its course. It is all right to run out of room in an organization. It is not all right to be bitter about it and expect someone else to give you a gift-wrapped solution. There is always an excuse to not stay in a bad environment, but you should always be evaluating whether your situation is still working out for you. See what the market holds and always be ready for what is next. You may have great coworkers and some comforts, but are there other factors you are seeking? Real friends and connections will remain with you regardless of if you still work with each other. Your bond started in one place but can grow and expand to new environments. Many times having friends and connections elsewhere can help give all parties perspectives that can advance careers, or they could follow each other as one advances.
In many ways, Americans are groomed to be a cog in the system rather than being prepared for a broad range of options that could exist for them. Our education system wants to bucket students early on to serve in certain functions and be good employees. And there is far too little focus on developing leadership skills. The focus is to get a job on day one that you will retire from. But this is not the reality most people will face in the workforce. Most people will work for numerous companies throughout their career. Many people will need that diverse experience to truly become experts in their fields. Many times people exclusively working for one organization are only versed in their organization's antiquated approaches.
One aspect I think we should help students is to be able to not just understand leadership in all its forms, but to work to prepare themselves to one day potentially branch out and own something of value that could allow them complete agency over their careers. That would include understanding of common gaps in the marketplace that could be an opportunity, understand partners and resources that are available, keeping a Rolodex of your network skills and abilities in case you need partners, and continually knowing what skills you excel at and ones that you need to refine. We are not experts in everything, so we need to know our blind spots. And people need to understand professional communication and networking. As we demonstrated in our skit, there are ways to achieve success by communicating upwards. Sometimes you have to not only manage downwards, but upwards. Be willing to negotiate outcomes. Too many of the people that manage our education are focused on systemic processes that feed the college systems, which they control the funding for, and eventually fill entry-level positions. Many of these workers are not well versed in advancing and navigating the environment, unless they have parents to discuss with or mentors to assist. Rather than having an environment of resentment and jealousy, we need to focus more on trying to help people fill gaps in their toolkits. Our youth need to be able to accept that there will always be some people better connected and well off than you and others who are far worse than you. Even some of the people that you think are better off than you have other issues that you are lucky not to deal with. People need to understand the important aspect is that you are willing and able to close the gaps in regards to what employers seek and compensate for. That has always been at the heart of entrepreneurship. Understand what employers and decision-makers value and be able to deliver and communicate to it.
Many times college graduates are idealistic to what their professors taught them in lectures. There is a difference between what is expressed in an ideal situation or environment with what needs to be done in a real-life chaotic environment that needs to be managed. Not every situation is one where an employee is going to win a Nobel Prize, but one where the operation is able to make it to the next day, month, quarter or year. Applying theoretics to real life is a challenge that some recent college graduates have in their inability to understand that experiences matters in addition to knowledge gained in education programs. Some burn bridges early on by not reading the room and networking professionally where their perspective can be applied in mutually beneficially manners.
Many of these recent college graduates would find their early careers much easier if they learned some humility and self-awareness when they start a career. Too many young workers go into a work environment and believe they are the expert in the group when they were hired to be another pair of hands with the opportunity to learn and prove their worth. While some people are critical of over-credentialing and the career college students, I do value what college educations have to offer, as possessing degrees myself. But I think those who blend experience, insight, and their education to work situations will do better. There are many colleges where the professors have no actual on-the-job knowledge nor do they consult in the field. They may have the theoretical aspect down and can select applicable Harvard case studies, but what you find when you start any job is that many companies do not operate in theoretical environments, enjoy ideal situations, and face prototypical problems. They need someone willing to learn what the issues and problems they are facing, what solutions are cost-effective and applicable for them, and be accountable for the outcome. No company is perfect, and telling people that they are doing something wrong or not doing what the market leaders are doing is not helpful. What people may lack in knowledge or ability, they may make up for in seniority and record, so it is helpful to focus on creating solutions that elevate everyone. Many times you can see that the issues caused were out of necessity, not complete ignorance. Organizations operate in constraints and you need to be able to apply your expertise to contribute to solutions to their problems in manners they can support and implement. Many of the organizations covered in case studies are ones with abundance of resources and executive support. You may find yourself dealing with the complete opposite. So it helps to be able to deal with the non-ideal and create solutions and processes that make life easier for everyone, even if it does not win you a Nobel Prize or feature in the Wall Street Journal. If you stack enough of those successes, then you will see your career go further. You can help yourself with effective communication. The more people understand how to advance careers, grow opportunities, they will become less susceptible to radical ideas. At least that is what we have to hope for.